I think the Pollinator Party came about, like everything else in the garden, as a sort of organic process, really. When, at the very beginning of the garden, after the patio had been built, we got this fantastic grant from Keep Wales Tidy, which was called, I think, Local Places for Nature. And they gave us tools, they gave us lots of advice, which was really helpful. They actually came and gave us advice. They gave us lots of plants, flowering plants, trees, shrubs, and the materials to make the raised beds that we've now got round the patio. So a lot of us were quite keen on gardening but didn't know much. And by that time we'd pretty much lost the two professional gardeners who'd been involved with the group at the beginning. So it's been a learning process for all of us about the garden. But the Keep Wales Tidy grant, the plants there were all grown without peat, in a very organic way, without any fertilisers. And that idea really caught on at that stage with us. And we learned a lot, I think, all of us, from them. So the garden was planted with those plants. We put a wildflower meadow in and the hedge, planted the trees. Then Julie, who's a member of the group, Julie does peace walks, and inspired sort of by this whole experience, she did a peace walk. I think it would have been in 2021 now, because it was certainly difficult with COVID. And she linked up with a scheme run by the National Botanic Garden in Wales called the Saving Pollinators Assurance Scheme. And she walked in company with others around about 20 growers in West Wales who are signed up to this scheme. And essentially, they're these fantastic people hidden away, working hard, growing beautiful plants without peat and no pesticides, no fungicides. And through them and Julie's walk and meeting them and everything, they were very generous to us. So a lot of them gave us plants, which we were able to put in the raised beds. And they gave us lots of advice. They gave us plants for free. So we felt quite indebted to them, like we wanted to celebrate them, because they didn't really meet up together very often. So that was the next idea, was to try to say thank you to these growers and do something for them here. And then I think the third element really was that we wanted to properly introduce the garden and the ideas behind it, to kind of explain what it was all about from our point of view, because we've always seen it as a sort of a place where you could learn about new ideas about gardening for nature, for wildlife, for pollinators. And we'd realised that not all pollinator plants were the same. So you can go to a garden centre and buy a plant that says it's pollinator friendly, but it's quite likely it's been grown from seed that was treated with fertiliser. It will have been grown in peat. It's probably been treated several times with fungicides and plants. So it's just because it's a plant that the bees go to and other insects, doesn't mean it's actually safe for them. The plants that are going to really support the pollinating insects need to be free of poisons for them. So we were wanting to have a sort of open day to explain the ideas behind the garden here. And it all came together eventually in this idea that we would invite these specialist growers from the scheme to come. It was an opportunity to sell their plants and also explain to everybody what they were doing. The National Botanic Garden supported us. They gave us a grant, and we also got some money from the Transition Brogue Wine Fund. We decided that we'd have a kitchen selling organic, locally grown food as well, to sort of highlight the connection between good food and good growing. And we had, I think about 14 of the growers said they would come last year, that's 2022, the first pollinator party. And really, it was a really successful event, and I think it was terribly well supported. We had more than 200 people who came, and they were very generous. They gave us lots of feedback, and as a result of that, lots of people said that they were going to change something about the way they gardened, particularly not use peat, and to be much more careful about where they source their pollinating plants. And we had terrific support from the community, because it's a very busy community, and a lot of people came out and gave their time and helped us in all sorts of different ways. And I think we did manage to really successfully introduce the garden.